Gus here with Backcountry Ballistics. Today we're going to keep going on our new 6.5 Creedmoor competition rifle, and today we're going to be going over basic load development for barrel break-in and brass break-in, that kind of thing. So I have a little bit of a background with 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm going to use very similar components in this rifle to what I use in my hunting rifle. So with the same action, obviously different barrel, but I'm going to be shooting similar bullet, same brass, same powder, same primers. So I have a little bit of a background in the load that's we're going to develop and kind of go over today as far as what I'm going to start off this rifle with. I do want to shoot this rifle a little bit slower than when I shoot my hunting rifle, just a little bit longer barrel life, less components, a little bit less recoil, and just some things like that I think that would help tailor it a little bit towards competition. But we are shooting a different bullet than when I shoot my hunting rifle. However, it is said to be the same profile. So my hunting rifle in my current 6.5 Creedmoor, I've shot the snot out of the Berger 140 Elite Hunters. They've been a really good bullet for me. Really like the way they perform. Very consistent and they work really well on game too. But they are pricey. They are roughly $65 a hundred or so. So this time I decided to go a different route, and I'm using the Hornady arrow matches in the 140s. I'm going to show you the box. Cool thing about these is they are, this is obviously a 500 box. They come in lots of 3,000, and you can buy them in 500, 1,000, or I think 3,000. So that's pretty cool. Pretty excited to shoot these. They're alleged to be the similar profile as the Bergers. The Berger Elite Hunters are the same profile as the Berger Target Hybrids. So yeah, the Berger 140 Elite Hunters are the same profile as the Berger 140 Target Hybrids, which is nice because you can shoot the 140 Target Hybrids in competition, things like that, and you can take the Elite Hunters and hunt with them. There's mixed reviews on the Target Hybrids on game. They're a little bit thicker jacket, so the expansion takes a little bit more energy and a little bit more velocity. A little bit more velocity to expand that jacket compared to the Elite Hunters. A little bit thinner jacket, expands a lot more rapidly. Can confirm the Elite Hunters. I've killed probably, gosh, I don't know, 5 animals with the Elite Hunters. They work really well. I've seen a lot of other animals die with the Elite Hunters or the EOLs from Berger. They work really, really great. So big Berger guy. I don't, in the past, haven't shot a lot of Hornady stuff just because I've had a lot of issues with consistency. The ELDMs, especially 147s and the 140s, I haven't messed around with a whole lot, but the 147s in particular, I use base to ogive on everything, or I use my ogive measurement rather than total length on everything. So the 147s, I would oftentimes get a 3, 4, 5, up to 3 or 4 thousandths difference based to ogive from bullet to bullet, and that just becomes really hard with seating depth. And if you're measuring from your bottom of your case to the ogive of the bullet, which is the little fat part of the bullet here, or as it gets to the fat part, that can be tricky to kind of start chasing, because if you measure that and the way your seating dies work and stuff like that, they just get a little bit funky. So I just haven't really had the best luck with Hornady stuff in the past. I'm excited to try them again. I know a lot of guys shoot them and really like them. These arrow matches are really cool to me. They are a lot of what I like about a Berger, but in a little bit more affordable price point, or a little bit more affordable price. So here's hoping they work well. But real quick, what I've done so far is I've measured the lands on the rifle. So I used a comparator tool. This is not a scientific hard data point. This is kind of gives you a rough estimate. I would never say that this is a machine quality, machining type quality tool, but it gives you a good idea where your lands are at, and you kind of go from there. So these work by essentially, I'm not going to do it just because I don't want to stick a bullet in there, but essentially there's this rod, dummy case on the end here, and this rod that pushes a bullet up. So you slide the dummy case into the chamber, you push this up, the ogive hits at the lands, and then you measure base of the bullet to ogive, and it should give you a pretty rough estimate of where those lands are at. So I usually do it 3 to 5 times, depending on the numbers I'm getting, if it's a big difference. But what I measured was 2.2 .299 for my base to ogive is kind of where my lands are at, which lines up for 6.5 Creedmoor. I can't remember off the top of my head semi spec, but I measured my proof research barrel in 6.5 Creedmoor and it was 2.295. So I'm within 10 thousandths, so pretty comfortable with that. What we're gonna do is, I know the Berger 140s like to jump about 100 to 120 thou. I've always had really good luck jumping those that far. So jumping meaning the seating depth, when I measure base to ogive, in the seating depth, I'm gonna be 0.100 off of the lands. So if my lands are measuring 2.299, I should seat these at 2.199 roughly, and that should be kind of close. I'll probably end up going with the exact same seating depth that I'm shooting in the current 6.5 Creedmoor, and it'll just kind of get me in that ballpark. There's only a 9 thousandths difference there or so it should be pretty close. The starting load I'm going to go with, one thing I want to share or tell you guys, this is me and the way I reload. This is not this is not gospel. This is not the only way to reload, and this is not something that you should take my load and go shoot it in your 6.5 Creedmoor and expect it to work or expect it to be safe. Every rifle's different, every barrel's different, every lot of powder's different, every chamber is completely different. If you're using Hornady brass compared to Alpha brass, or if you're using a Berger bullet compared to a Hornady bullet, everything is different. So please, please, please consult a reloading handbook, find a good safe starting range and work up in 2, 3, 4 tenth increments from there, and work into a safe load that you know is going to work and be safe. Don't just take something you saw on the internet or on this video and say, oh well, he shoots it and he was fine. Don't do that. It's not a good practice. Always consult a reloading handbook or something like that. If you're looking for a good reloading app, XXL Reloading is a great app and a great resource. I haven't used it extensively. I've just used it kind of here and there, but from what I have used it, it seems to be a really good app and that type of thing. So like I said, shooting the 140 arrow match, we're going to be shooting Vihtavuori N550 powder. We're going to start out about 39.5 grains, and that should put me hopefully in the ballpark somewhere of about 27, 25 or so on velocity is what I'm hoping. We'll see. That's a pretty significant, it's it's a pretty significant amount less than I'm shooting in my hunting rifle. It's a good jump down, and I think it's definitely going to be safe and should be a good place to start. So one thing I wanted to highlight too, just the difference in the arrow match bullets compared to the Berger bullets. This is the Berger Elite 140s. This is not the Target hybrids, so keep that in mind. But I took some measurements real quick and just wanted to share them with you. Hornady advertises these bullets as being the same dimensions as the Bergers, and this isn't a knock on Hornady. This is just telling you what I've seen. Total length for the Bergers, 1.410. The arrow is 1.404. Base to ogive is on the Berger is 0.718. On the arrow is 0.713. Base diameter, so kind of measuring the bottom of the boat tail here, on the Berger is 0.220, and on the arrow is 0.212. So very, very similar bullet. Not an identical match, but very similar, and I think that they should shoot pretty well, so anxious to try them. The other thing, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you kind of just a quick reloading process with new brass, and we're going to kind of get going and load up 50 rounds, and we'll go from there. So, okay, so one thing I do want to say is I did go through and I just picked 5 random bullets and did a bunch of measuring on those bullets to see kind of how they stacked up and how consistent they were. So far with the arrow matches, I'm really impressed. The overall base to ogive was dead on across all 5 at that 0.713. That was the same across all 5 bullets. The weights were within 0.2 grains, which is really cool. That's a big problem I had with the 147s when I shot them in a 6.5 Creedmoor. That weight difference was pretty significant. And Will a half grain difference here, a half grain difference there on bullet weight matter a whole lot? No, not necessarily, but that can cause a pretty big shift in BC. So if you are shooting at an extended range and stuff like that, you can see that the BC of the bullet change with that weight difference, depending on where that weight's at, whether it's butt heavy, nose heavy, kind of vice versa. So that being said, really excited to see Hornady's consistency with the arrow matches be there. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. We'll go ahead now and go through real quick just some of the quick processes that I do when doing new brass. This is Alpha Munitions brass. It's very, very good brass, and I like it. However, I will do a couple basic things on any new piece of brass, this stuff included. So I'm gonna hit it with some one shot real quick, because we're gonna run it through the sizing mandrel, at least just the necks. And give some one shot on there. Pop this off and get my sizing die. So my press that I'm using is a Forester coax. It's a pretty new press to me, but I haven't been liking it so far. It's very consistent, which I like. That's good. Kind of the name of the game when reloading is consistency. So everything is the same every time, and that works out really well. So I'm not even going to run all the way down. I am just going to run it through the sizing mandrel and the ball of the sizing die, so that way I know those necks are in good shape. A lot of times during manufacturing and shipping and stuff like that, the necks can get damaged, and not that it's a bad thing necessarily, it's just something to watch out for. So I'm going to run these all through here. Then we're going to chamfer the case necks again, and we will throw them through a tumbler real quick just to get the one shot off of it. And then once we're done with that, we're going to prime them, powder them, and press a bullet into them. So I'm going to keep working on this, and I'll show you guys the next step here when I get to it. So moving on down the line here, I went through and actually sized all 100 pieces of this brass. Not sized it, but just ran the mandrel through the neck and made sure that's good. And next we're going to chamfer and deburr anything around these necks. Not sure if you can see it that well or not, but they do come from the factory pretty sharp. So the last thing we want to do is have a burr inside that neck, seat the bullet, have it gouge that bullet, and then that bullet have a weird kind of inconsistent flight pattern because of that. So we're going to go through, this is a burst fire annealer, and it is also doubles as a brass prep station. So we're going to flip this guy on and just real quick, hit the insides, hit the outside, and that cuts me that burr off. So we're going to do that a few times here. Hit the inside, hit the outside, and we're off and running. So I'm going to do this for another 97 times, and then I will show you guys when I'm done with this, come back and I'll show you guys the powder priming. We'll put primer, and then we'll put powder in them, and then we'll charge them, or excuse me, put a bullet in them and seat them, and we should be good to go. So yeah, I'm gonna get going on this and catch up with you guys at the next step. All right guys, so back out of here. I did finished off all the chamfering and deburring. Things turned out really well. Alpha brass just looks awesome. It's new, and kind of as you use it, it just looks better and better in my opinion. So super excited to get some new brass. One thing I did do was run it through the tumbler, excuse me, sorry. Ran through the tumbler just to get some of the oil off that I had put on there with the Hornady one-shot lube. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go through and prime these cases, and we'll start doing some powder charges kind of as we go with that. But we'll go through here. I'm just using a Lyman hand primer. Seems to work just fine for me. I know a lot of guys like some different stuff, but I like this. We are shooting the CCI BRT rifle primers in this load, but again, make sure you check what your reloading manual says and what your experience shows and things like that. So I'm going to go through, prime all these, and start working on some powder charges as we're going, and we'll get back with you. I'm going to start with 39 grains of N550 rather than doing 39.5. So I'm just gonna go 39 grains. That way it's a good safe break-in point and kind of see where this rifle is on pressure, speed, things like that, because it is a barrel that I haven't shot before. So I'm gonna start priming, get some powder charges going, and we'll be back to you guys when we start seating bullets. So switched over the sizing die to the seating die. I'm starting to get some powder in some of these. I went through and primed everything, at least the first 50. That's what Aero Precision asks for on their barrel break-in process, is about 50 shots. So we're going to go through now, and we are going to start priming, or excuse me, start seating bullets. So got powder and primer in this guy. Again, this should be set relatively close to where I was for my hunting cartridge. And again, we're going to go 2.186 base to ogive. So we're going to go, okay, that one, we're a little bit deep, a lot bit deep, about 100 thou deep. So Hornady claiming that you don't have to change your dies at all, a little bit off. So we're going to back this guy out a full turn. I definitely like to stay on top of dumping powder as it comes off of the scale, so it just hopefully doesn't take that long, or as much time. So go there, see where this sets us at. Yeah, okay, 2.255, so if I shoot the difference there, I'm going to go in a quarter turn. So we're looking for 2.186. 2.21, go another quarter, 2.20, go about an eighth, 2.193, we're getting closer. Dump this powder real quick. So we're gonna go just another eighth or so in. Just kind of keep checking here. 2.191, about 5 thou off. Do a little turn there. .188, 2 thou off. Another small adjustment. Make sure our handle's going all the way down. All right, 2.1860. So hit that one on the money. So our first one is going to be a burner, which is fine because we're going to be sighting this rifle in anyways. And again, I'm not really looking for a whole lot of like load development as far as, you know, real tight accuracy, that kind of thing. It'd be great if it's there, but I'm not necessarily going to be chasing it all around this first trip to the range with this gun. The first trip to the range is going to be breaking the barrel and doing that process. And then from there, we will go back and start with some load development and things like that. So nice thing about these Foster dies is once you get them set, you kind of hit this little lock ring right here, a little pressure there, and she stays. So I'll be able to just kind of keep pounding through these rounds as we go, and I'll show you guys, or talk to you guys when I'm done seating all these bullets and have powder and all of them. So, all right guys, so here we are. We got all 50 rounds loaded up for a barrel break-in and kind of our initial test through the gun. This is our short guy. That was our first one, so we'll leave him off to the side and make him a sighter. But that's kind of it. That's my reloading process, especially with new brass. It's a little bit different with obviously brass I've shot. There's a lot more sizing, cleaning, things like that. So, but for this gun and kind of the start of this is kind of where we're going to go and where we're going to start. Hopefully 39 grains should get me roughly in the ballpark. Hopefully about 50 feet slower on speed than what I want to be. I think that's a good, safe place to be for the barrel break-in. Again, like I said, every barrel's different, everything's new, and we'll kind of start low and work our way into it a little bit, but that should be pretty close to where we want to be. Next thing we need to do is mount the scope up. and get a level on it, and we'll make sure we do that before we head out. I'll do a quick video on that real quick and kind of just going through same thing we did with put the rifle together, degrease all the bolts, paint pen them, and kind of go from there. So we'll jump onto that video. That'll be a separate video, and then we'll catch up with you guys when we get out to the range and do our first barrel break-in process and first groups with the new rifle. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you comment below if there's anything you do different, and make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thank you.